Bocelli was in concert at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit this past Sunday night. The teacher of that music class was in the crowd. Miss Madalena Liberti had a mission that went beyond enjoying the show. She was there and she's with us this morning to tell us the story. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for being here. Pick it up from there. What happened?
Well, my therapeutic music class is full of students with the brightest personalities, and they have these labels and limitations that I always try to break down the barriers and see what we can achieve. So I have students that are nonverbal, wheelchair-bound, autistic, ADHD, language delay disorder, etc. So aside from my senior level music classes, keyboard, vocals, production class, I have this one particular class that means a lot to me. So we play songs that are ranging from classical hits like Pachelbel's Canon to Elvis Presley to Christmas tunes, and of course, their favorite pop hits, Ed Sheeran and Bocelli. So we finished doing our Christmas concert this past year, and I was already looking ahead during exam season for Valentine's Day. So I asked the students, what are some love songs you can think of? So, of course, we all love Disney. So we were thinking, the classic Lady and the Tramp scene with the spaghetti, Bella Notte. And so we got a little bit of Italian in there. And me being non-biased, of course, being Italian, I enjoyed that. And it got me thinking. I said, some other famous Italians? And I said, Andrea Bocelli. And you know what? He has some similar stories as some of our students. And I explained how he's blind and how his own condition did not put a limitation to his success. And the students were so inspired by that. So they said, we want to learn some of his music. And I said, well, you guys already know the song because I would always hear them singing in the halls, Ed Sheeran. I said, they did a wonderful duet. Why don't we learn it? So the students said, okay. So they were all excited. And every few weeks, I record them in our studio in the classroom, and our production class will edit their music. And while doing so, they said, we sound famous. You gotta send this to them. And I'm thinking, I know social media is great, but how am I gonna slide into their DMs and make this work? So I said, you know what, you guys just keep practicing, you guys keep having fun, and I'll try my best what I can do, and I never like disappointing a student. So if I give my word, I gotta figure out a mission. So I already had tickets to go to the concert. I've been a fan of Bocelli growing up all my life. My parents, born and raised in Italy, and this is something we always would listen to. So, of course, I had to be a fan to go, and I figured, you know what? I'm already going to the concert. Let me try, just on a whim here. We decided to, as a class, we made a 17 by 24 poster, and it was a Christmas picture we took. And I said, why don't we design the front to say, you inspire us, Andrea Bocelli. At the bottom of it, it was their picture, and I said, please pass to the stage. I figured on the back, on behalf of the students, I would write a 2-page letter explaining all of their conditions and how that never was a limitation in the class and what we so far achieved. And they all signed it. And then we recorded 5 songs. So far, they've learned about 50 different songs, front and back. And so we recorded 5 top ones that Bocelli and his son Matteo and even his daughter Virginia once sang. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put it on the back of the poster. I'll seal it in there. I'll even put a USB stick in case the CD, because nowadays, the MacBooks don't have the CD input. So I said, okay, we got all that in there. I showed the kids. I brought it to them Friday, the last school day before the concert. And we took a picture, and they were just so excited. And they said, Miss, it means the world to us that you at least did this part. And I said, hey, I gave my word. Now I was, I think, the biggest kid of all trying to be excited for the concert. I get in there at Little Caesars Arena, and we're lining up and such outside, and the person tells me, excuse me, ma'am, you can't bring this poster in. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I follow the rules, always adamant to that. And I said to myself, no, the only rule you guys had was strictly on that little tiny clutch of 4x6 by 1.5 diameter. I'm like, I barely held my phone and passport, and here I am, and all these people behind me have these bigger purses, like luggages. And I said, if you're making that rule, you got to bend for mine. And they said, no. And I said, well, can you maybe walkie-talkie? Because I noticed he had one. I said, just maybe ask someone on the tour. So he buzzes in and says, are posters allowed? And it was a hard no. And I said, well, what would be the biggest size allowed maybe? And he's like, an 8x10. I'm like, that's a piece of paper. I said, you want an 8x10? You got it. I will fold this and I will bring it in. So I was determined, and the guy even said, wow, what kind of teacher are you? A determined one for my students. I give my word, I give my word. And he's like, okay, well, don't fold it. Let me figure this out. He calls again. He says, this teacher's not budging. You got to come out here and figure this out. So we have another Little Caesar employee comes out, and he saw the poster. I explained my situation and how I kept my promise. We wrote a letter. It's a gift. And I kept stressing gift. And they said, well, you know what? It's a gift. Let's message the tour and say, are you willing to accept a gift? And they said, Bocelli oftentimes doesn't receive gifts, and maybe they think he's not able to see them. But we purposely wrote the letter. And I figured someone could read it to him, his daughter, his wife, or someone on the tour. He could hear the music and just overall just know, hey, you got a younger crowd who's still inspired. So they said, okay, we'll come down and we'll grab this poster and gift, and no guarantees, but we'll give it to the tour and go from there. So ironically, I said, okay, well, just don't disappoint us, and we'll just say a prayer, it gets there. And ironically, the last song they sang before the encore was the prayer. And as a member of the WSO chorus, I always love to get views, not just of the front of the stage, because me being 5'1", you can't see much when you have the tallest person always in front of you. So I usually like getting the side of the stage where I'm able to see the orchestra playing as well, the maestro and such. So I purposely got the side stage where I could see Bocelli oftentimes going up and down, the other performers switching off and tuning their instruments. I looked down as the song is starting, and I looked at my partner and I said, oh my goodness, my poster's on the stage. And of course, he turns to me, he's like, no, our poster is on the stage. And of course, he wants credit as well. So I said, my student's poster is here. So I was already excited, and it was prior to the stage, I should say. And I saw some of the other tenors and such just passing it around, taking pictures of it, and they brought it to Virginia, who was on the tent where Bocelli would come on and off and take his jacket off and switch it out. And she was just a proud daughter, being 12 years old, just immediately grabbed the poster and was showing everyone so proudly. And I said, oh, okay, great. And I noticed they turned it over, and his wife immediately took the letter, started reading it, and maybe a few sentences in, you could just see her wipe a tear. And I said, okay, great. They're understanding what I'm writing about. And she took the recording, she put it aside, put it in her pocket. And next thing you know, the song is ended. Everyone goes on stage. And Virginia is up there next to her dad, holding the poster proudly, wouldn't let it go. And then, the next day, usually their photographer who takes pictures of the concerts and, does publicity. Thanks for coming to the show. He was taking pictures of Detroit, and he posted some pictures of the concert. And of course, I saw it on Facebook, so I just put, at Andrea Bocelli, the official, and I said, hey, big shout out. Thanks again on behalf of my students. It meant a lot to us. Not only did you accept our package of, gratitude, but also your daughter. It meant a lot that she brought it on stage. And I said, any chance anyone from the concert has a front view of it? I took a bunch of pictures on the side, and my students were so excited this morning when I showed them, but it meant a lot to me. Not even an hour later, we see Virginia Bocelli, the daughter's Instagram, and she posted 5 photos, and that one photo of her holding it was our students. So now you have my one student in Houston who says, wow, miss, there was 15,000 at the concert? I said, yeah, all those people saw you and on the Jumbotron. He's like, now millions because Instagram saw us. And I said, yeah. So now they're on a complete cloud nine, and they're famous. What's our next song we're going to learn, and what poster we're going to make in our next artist? But they did say we'll hear something from them. So we don't know if it's going to be after the tour or in a couple of weeks, but they're always busy. But hey, just the fact that it got on the stage, my mission was complete. Yeah. So I said, there you go. And I always look back to my former teachers I had, right? I was a former student at Holy Names with Rose Jobin, who I oftentimes, we still communicate, and I always look at for inspiration. And the fact that she gave me opportunities, conducting at the Vatican and performing at Carnegie Hall, I said, I got to find an opportunity for these kids to be acknowledged and heard. So I incorporated my senior band students, and I said, would you like to learn some of these songs? Accompanying my therapeutic students, and they're going to be the leads to sing, and you guys are going to be their backup. And it was just nice how all my students were very inclusive, and now they do this often. So my students are rock stars in their eyes, and I'm proud of them.
And you're a rock star. What's your takeaway from all of this?
You know what? I always say, if there's a will, there's a way. And if someone says you can't do something, do it twice and take a picture. So we had some people saying, okay, you're nuts. This is not going to happen. I said, hey, all you can do is try. And I made sure before going in, I took a picture. And I said, okay, you guys have to take a picture of me, at least with my poster outside the arena, to prove to my students I made my effort. And at that point, it's in their hands, right? And it worked out in the end. So I'm pleased that, it had a nice ending. It was perfect, as you would say.
What a perfect story. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Madalena Liberty is a music teacher at F.J. Brennan Catholic High School in East Windsor.